going to be home to a new team.
Hello everyone, welcome back, and we are about to do a segment of Pro to Pro, and I have Blabber with me. What we're going to do is I'm going to play 5 different clips for you, and I'm basically going to ask you questions on what is happening here, okay? So on the very first clip right here, the game barely started, the creeps they barely spawned. My first question to you is, as we're going through this clip, what makes you decide to start their blue buff, and is this something you decide at the start of the game or at the beginning of the game, like before it?
I was actually kind of torn this game between invading bot or top side, because either side I'm going to take his red, and he can't stop me. But the reason I was torn was because here, if Nautilus comes, for example, it could be sketchy. But from my point of view, this matchup is, the Akali Gwen matchup is you can dive Akali really easily at like level 2 or 3. You just wait out a shroud, then you kill him afterwards. And if we split the map, Akali's just going to die. And that was the plan, but obviously Gwen or Kha'Zix came, right? And then I'm just gonna play for jungle then, because now he's just not farming camps. So it's good for me regardless.
Gotcha, cool. So then I have a second clip here. This is after you already ganked Syndra and burned her flash. Who calls for this 2v2 mid? Is this something that you do, or is this something that Fudge does?
This was my call. The first gank where we got his flash, I said I can look, and then this one was also my call. Obviously, Fudge griefed, but it's fine.
That's okay. You grief a little bit later, so
exactly,
we'll get it back later. So then the next question I have is this third clip right here. So if we take a look at the mini-map, actually, you'll notice that your Ryze is in base and you don't really have push bot. What makes you decide that this dragon is your guys'? Because you basically start it and saying they're not going to contest me, because if they do contest you, it'd probably look bad. So how do you know this is a quote-unquote free dragon for your team?
Well, I know Syndra based a little bit before Ryze, so it's unlikely that he's here already. And I know I have a 6 advantage on Kha'Zix right now, just because, I mean, I just know it. And if they come, I have Ryze ulti if they try to fight me, so there's no way we lose this fight. And if they try to 50-50, I think we'll just kill Kha'Zix even if he gets it.
Gotcha, awesome, cool. So then I actually have a clip where you kind of trolled, but it actually works out for you. So for people that didn't notice this during the game, he was doing red buff and he started backing, assuming that that would kill it. It didn't kill it and it resets here, but for some reason, it works into his favor because he decides to stay on the map now instead of recalling, and he gets a kill top. So my first question here is, why did you want to recall there? Because you had 1,500 gold. What was your thought process here?
I actually didn't want to recall. That was like a mistake I made. I wanted to hit the plant on Herald because I was thinking that he was on Herald. I walked to the plant, I see there's no plant, so then I realized I'm just trolling. I started my recall because, yeah, I'm upset that there's no plant, honestly.
Gotcha,
and then I check my base and I'm like, wow, my base sucks. And then I see the red buff reset, and then I go to my camps.
Right,
that's like my whole thought process.
It worked out for you for somehow. That wasn't planned, but that's how the game works at times, right? So then I have one more clip here that we're gonna play after you get this kill on into Impact here. It's going to be, let me fast forward. I think there's only like 5 more seconds. Okay, right here. Oh no, did I go all the way through? I did. Okay, well, let me pull it back here. So during this clip here, you guys do a tower dive on bot. And my question is, for when you're setting up these kind of plays, who's the one that's starting it, and how long in advance do you do this setup for? Because this is something that changes depending on team. So I want to hear from your guys' POV.
Well, actually, I think Fudge called this one in game, but this was a very instantaneous call because the second Syndra TP'd mid, we're already calling it. That bot's just dead. The second she TP's mid, if they decide to come for this wave, because I'm playing Volibear, so the tower obviously doesn't matter, and I have stopwatch, and we have Ryze ulti.
Awesome, cool. Well, that's all I have for you today. I just wanted to ask you for some insight on how the comms go into your team, and obviously, you guys destroyed them this game, so it's great to hear from you, like, how that happened. That's all from us today, and back to you all at the analyst desk.
Thank you so very much. Thank you to both High and Blabber for taking the time to walk us through the thought process. That I feel like in so many ways that was the perfect marrying of like high-level information and learnings for lower level players, but also at times that very much like pro mentality of like, I just knew.
Yeah, well,
I just knew I had success. I'm like, oh
I just knew, or like I just made a bad mistake and I made the best of it.
Whatever,
you know, like
yeah.
some level of intuitive game understanding that comes with playing so much. But I also, for Blabber specifically, hearing who's calling some of the ganks and saying, oh, this is me, is interesting to me because split after split after split, he posts some of the highest kills and assists at 15 from the jungle position of all time. He has like 3 of the top 5. And to know that it's mostly him probably finding these kills, not just like, I'm playing around lanes that are winning all the time. Like, I think that's very interesting and speaks to how good of a jungler he is.
It's also interesting to hear that as the game went on, he was calling Fudge more as the person who was making some of these calls, and or he was like, it might have been me, it might have been Fudge, I don't really remember, which means probably both of them are talking and kind of talking through when to call. We were talking about what Fudge brings to this team as he's learning matchups in the mid lane, and this is it. This is why we're saying, like, okay, he's just good at fundamentally knowing the game. Just to hear his name coming up so many times and talking about comms was really cool.
Yeah, and split second decision making. Like things like deciding between invading top side versus bot side. A lot of people would love to know because a lot of the times you can call that in draft, but in those moments it's like, hey, both are beneficial. And then of course like that bot lane dive, realizing, okay, based off back timings and the champions we're on, we can make dives happen easily. Why not call for the play? And that's what makes Cloud9, especially with Blabber, such a fiery team to watch. That if they see a window, they just go for it, and it's been what's making them so successful and right now at the top of the table.
And I think they needed Blabber to play well this game because EG was not asleep at the wheel. Top lane went terribly for Summit for one of the first times, much as we were hyping, that matchup up. Impact and Inspired definitely found some kills on him. And so in those team fights, there were a number that were very close that C9 easily could have lost if they hadn't gotten these gold leads and continued to play well.
Well, with that pop-off performance from Blabber, Cloud9 keep things interesting at the top of the table here in the LCS, moving to 9-2 and staying tied with Team Liquid. From here, though, we move on to our next game of the day. It's FlyQuest on one side, Dignitas QNTMPAY on the other. FlyQuest, they, let me just ask it this way. What is the verdict on this squad? Because as we know, there's the fun bet with Jatt.
True.
Yes, yes, yes. But a lot of that was born. The idea of that bet was born out of the performance that FlyQuest had shown us in the early weeks of the split. Looking like a top team at one point, holding that top spot. A small drop-off from that point. So is the verdict that they were overperforming at the beginning of the split? Where do they actually fall on your kind of scale of teams?
Yeah, I think they're a team that, we talk about the sum being greater than the parts, or at least the whole team is a solid structure. Their team fighting, their team play, the creativity when they're playing the Janna and Karma type compositions, right? But then it still challenges you to be like, well, where do we think of these players as individuals, right? So I do think that I already have my bet that they are not going to get higher than 6 losses. It's tough, but it's going to be a battle. And I think it's going to be a hard one just because some of their players are just going to be outmatched in certain lanes.
And I definitely think you can make the case that they overperformed somewhat in the first round robin. And there's a couple of stats that I think can highlight that. It's not like, I like to think of them as indicator stats. Like they're not the problem, but they're symptoms that you'll start to see in your stats if things are a little off. One of them is goal difference at 15. Part of that is the comps that they were playing when they were doing the smite tops. They sacked a lot of early games. You lost a lot of turrets doing that. But at the same time, it's now been X amount of not games like that, and it's still something that they're lower down the standings. And the other one is turret differential. And this is a really interesting one. If you pull up the full screen and you look at top to bottom and stack rank how people are doing at it, it's like, hey, a pretty good indicator of the actual split. You can use it in this way to say, look, Cloud9 and TL are +4. They are so much better than the rest of the league. Everyone kind of knows that already. And then when you look at the turret differentials from there, it starts getting a lot closer and some of these things. FlyQuest is kind of smack dab in the middle. And I think, part of that does, again, play into what we were talking about with their roaming smite strat where you're going to lose a lot of turrets. But I think it does speak to them probably being more of a middle-of-the-pack team that got a really hot start at the beginning. And this is more around their level from here.
The interesting thing to me in this graph is that Dig is right ahead of them, actually, which is not what I was expecting, and I'm kind of assuming that's from the way that they were playing around bot lane, especially when, Dignitas has also had a similar trajectory where they looked super strong, fell off after their first few games post lock-in tournament in the regular season, and how they were hard forcing that bot side. I assume that's where that's coming from.
And to be fair, those stats were like that even when they were 5-1, for example. They were still kind of like that more middle of the pack in some of these more team-oriented things. They found a lot of wins from behind and these close ones. And you expect them to start losing some of those games when you fall 2K down.
Yeah, and they have some rising stars, which is a positive for both of these teams. Like, it both for me lands in the jungle. Josedeodo being incredibly. We already saw in his last game on his Lee Sin how influential his play was in the River team fight. And then you look towards his opponent. This is not intentional.
River.
who has just been a constant shining light since coming in lock-in tournament. And the problem is River is not a carry player like Josedeodo has been with his Lee Sin and all that. He's been somebody who can play a damn strong game on J4 and Poppy and facilitate the other players around him. Those other players have to perform. And so I think Neo has been able to do that. Blue has had some amazing games. When he went up against 100 Thieves, he just lane kinged Abadaga, which has been positive. But then their top laners have been the ones that have been failing in my eyes, where Kumo and FakeGod have been needing to have stronger performances when they are in pressure situations and, you know, a bad side of the draft.
I think it's interesting that you brought up the mid-jungle matchup because this is another place where I'm looking at, like, Blue, we don't expect him to lane Kingdom, right? We expect him to kind of do okay or get to shove and roam. Yeah. Like, he's not what I think of as a laning mid laner where while River is helping his lanes, like he's joining up. Whereas I think Josedeodo has benefited a lot from pressure that toucouille has had, especially on like the mages he likes to play.
Now, another player within this matchup that we talked about actually at the top of the day under the category of FTX Most Improved was Biofrost. And again, it's been so interesting tracking his journey throughout the split, but he also threw out this tweet: until we have fans in the studio, can we have stuffed animals in the audience?
Great
LCS
decision.
Official.
Yeah.
Please, I support this move. And in fact, we got it done for you, my friend.
We have a lot of stuffed animals on waiting room. We better be able to get them.
Let's go Bio Daddy.
That's a big plus right there. I love this idea. I mean, we already saw a bunch of stuffed animals in the LEC and all that, so like just having that kind of big right there, big support for BioDaddy.
Well, yeah, with big support behind the support on Dignitas, we'll see if the Poro buff is enough to push Dignitas over the edge in this matchup against FlyQuest. We got freaking Jatt stepping in for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash, and hello, welcome. Once again, I believe we've decided our caster duo name is Fat, Pretty Hot, and Totally Tempting, PHATT. I know you're on board. I can tell from that face, you're really bought in.
Yes.
Yes, and indeed. Speaking
yes.
of, I want to hype up Blue, actually. So I went and looked at stats because when I heard, like, hey, you know, I don't think of Blue as a lane-dominant player, I want to check that because in my mind, I agreed, but I want to see if I was right. So here's a pop quiz for y'all at home and you, Jatt. So the stat is XP plus gold, difference at 10, right? Are you getting more minions? Are you getting more gold? What rank is Blue in that metric among the LCS mid laners?
You told me to say second highest, and it's a trust fall, so second highest.
He is second highest behind Josedeodo. He's above Bjergsen. He's above toucouille. Blue has actually been crushing in lane throughout this split. Is it because he's roaming bot and getting kills sometimes? Yes, of course, but that's part of early lane pressure. So he has been very good. They've been really spiky. Remember his solo kill against Abadaga back last weekend. There was the quadra kill 2 weeks ago as well, I think during Super Week. So he has had some really, really good moments. Dignitas right now 5-5. If they win, they are tied for third here with FlyQuest.
Yeah, like we said yesterday on the desk, there's that Cloud9 TL just running away with the league, but the fight for third is wide open.
Yeah.
With this big pack in the middle. So I actually do also like the bans from FlyQuest here. Caitlyn, Karma, Thresh, all three very heavily moved towards the bottom lane. I mean, even just watching Dignitas yesterday, the way they were able to have another solid Caitlyn Lux game, them having like a pushing bot lane that can then enable them to take first turret and get Biofrost on the map is so crucial to their overall strategy of winning. So I just really like those three bans.
Yeah, I think it's great. Looking at Biofrost's overall stats right now, Lux is the most played champion. He's got a positive win rate when his team has been, 9-11 so far across the season. But his Thresh is in the same boat, actually, at 60%. So those are the things that he's been kind of getting pushed off of. And, okay, maybe you play Lux, but probably not with Caitlyn, or without Caitlyn, right? So down to the Tahm Kench that he did win on, but it was the one game.
Yeah. Tahm Kench is pretty lethal. It was banned against him yesterday as well, but it's just picking your poison with Dignitas and does somewhat go to wondering what else is available. And the big thing that I'm going to look for is, are we going to see Jarvan? It was permabanned against River because he was dominating so many people with it in lock-in and at the start of the split. But now, argumentatively, like the faster clearing junglers like Hecarim, does that just outpace Jarvan? Clearly, FlyQuest thinks that answer is yes, but if they're going to pick Jarvan, now would be the time. They would just match the roles and give him something he can set up around bottom lane with.
Well, Nautilus is in, so plenty of CC down there. The Hecarim to dive in as well. Josedeodo back again on a champion he can try to carry on. Second game of the split here. And the question is, do Dignitas want to match jungle, or is the pool big enough? They go for the Jarvan.
Let's throw it down, right? River definitely is the type of player this year that looks like he's willing to just hard force Jarvan, but I want to emphasize there is a huge clear speed difference between this. So River will have to make his early game count, whether it's through ganks or whether it's trying to deny farm from Josedeodo. So I'm looking forward to tracking River in the early game now that he's got Jarvan again. 2-0 in the LCS Spring Split, but you expand that to lock-in, and it is 5
games.
Yeah,
doing really well on it overall. Second round of bans, Ahri, top of the table, still another high-prized pick. I was sent a stat. I didn't check it, so it could be wrong, but I was sent a stat the other day that every league but LCK has a negative win rate on Ahri, and in the LCK, she's 12-11, barely positive. So there's a lot that goes into a stat like that. It's not to say Ahri's definitely bad, but hasn't been successful by and large so far.
And it would also be good against Jarvan.
Yeah.
So rather than taking the opinion that Dig is banning it away from themselves because who's going to lose on it, I think it's because it's good against Jarvan.
It is.
And it would be a good ban for blind for FlyQuest.
Yep. Well, not table as well. We'll see if FakeGod is allowed to take counter. Does have 6 games on the Gragas. So far still left up, and anecdotally feels like one of the better picks for him. He has it was a Jatt stat. I saw it the other day.
Yep.
He has the lowest team proximity of any player in the LCS. If there's anyone who's an island boy, which is a terrible sign, by the way, don't look it up, it is him. He is the island boy.
And also, he is 4-0 when he picks his top laner after the opponent picks their top laner. Not a crazy new strategy that I think Dignitas is going to pick top lane on 5, since every team in the LCS is doing it, but I'm looking for the mid lane pick here for blue. Could it be Viktor?
Jatt, oh.
No, it is. So we were looking this up earlier, actually. It is toucouille who hasn't played Viktor
ever in his career.
From the games that are on Games of Legends. Maybe it's missing some early like LFL minor leagues where he was coming up or something, but of the over 100 games it has for toucouille, he has no Viktor games. But it is also a pick that Blue has played 5 times, including lock-in, and won 4 of them. So Dignitas is getting a lot of comfort champs so far in this draft.
That's pretty cool. And now we're seeing the Tryndamere hover. We know that Gragas tends to be picked as the answer, not a hard counter, but one that outscales and out-team fights. And here's the chance. Is it going to be 5-0, Jatt? Does top lane win? Does Dignitas win when FakeGod gets the second chance?
It was Kumo that needs the counter pick, so it's bad sign for FlyQuest that they were able to
backwards
get
in that one. You're right. Yeah, Kumo was the 4-0.
It's the craziest thing, actually, because it's 4-0 when it happens, and then the blind pick wins have been when he's played a smite top.
Yeah, it was the Carmen Janna from the week 1.
So a lot of this is correlation. I think there's a slight amount of causation in that, since he is someone who gets such little attention on the map. Having him in an advantage place just sets everything up well. That would be something.
Yeah. Actually, this is even better. SoloQ has Malphite as the #1 counterpick in the Tryndamere. You have an attack speed slow that is really reliable on that E. You basically can't be tower dove. You can trade him back. I want this. This fits a team comp to dive things in. Viktor Jinx has great follow-up. You buy a Warden's Mail, you stack up armor, you will survive this lane for sure.
I think it's the matchup data is one thing, but the way that it fits in with the rest of the comp, it's actually such an amazing pick for countering the entire team comp of FlyQuest. So 1, they have a low mobility AD carry in Aphelios. 2, their jungle top is both AD. And 3, the only magic damage on FlyQuest, which typically comes from the mid lane, is Zilean. And that's not going to be targeting the Malphite for the double bomb. It's just an insane pick. If he gets any type of gold, he's going to be great for this.
All right, we have got a monolith for FakeGod in the top lane. FlyQuest Dignitas coming up.
A lion! Ah, yes, the king of the jungle. Time for a Red Bull.
Red Bull? Still, you'll never be faster than a lion.
I don't have to be quicker than the lion, just faster than you.
Red Bull gives you wings.
What is going on?
I can't afford streaming anymore, so...
Sure you can. State Farm has rates that fit your budget.
Oh, good. Because some true crime would be nice.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or click to get a quote today.
Welcome back. We got a Malphite, and I'm excited. I think this is one of the most underpicked champions in League of Legends. I am glad to see it. We are in a very, I would say, heavy sort of I don't want to say 4-1 because a lot of the supports do like middling magic damage, but we are in a really heavy mono AP meta right now, where a lot of team comps have only magic damage coming out of mid lane and nowhere else in the roles. This makes any armor stack champions like Malphite, and dare I even say Rammus, but I mean, Armor Advancing's in a very, very good spot. When Randuin's Omen and Frozen Heart got buffed under a year ago, Malphite, again, actually works really, really well. People have realized Warden's Mail is an absurdly strong item, and you kind of can't lose lane post Warden's Mail. That said, a lot of these matchups you still do need to scale into. Like, if you look at, again, solo queue data, Tryndamere is still favored in getting first bloods, favored in getting first tower. You tend to win the early lanes as someone like Tryndamere, but as the armor items stack up, he just stops getting to do things.
And we will be investigating this quick pause on stage and hoping to get into the game as quickly as possible. But going through the draft one more time, the fact that, like, let's kind of go through win conditions for both teams. So FlyQuest at this point needs Kumo to be very successful in a side lane, or I think they need the Zilean Hecarim to really take over from the early mid game, which would be possible if you're FlyQuest, because Hecarim can outpace the Jarvan. If Jarvan's early ganks don't go well, then speedy Hecarim is a very potent combo. But on the flip side, the 5v5 from Dignitas is just going to be very, very strong. Even if Hecarim ults in, they'll have the Tahm Kench to save either Neo or Blue, and it's just going to be almost impossible for FlyQuest to cut down the front line of Dig, who can heavily armor stack. Because there's very little magic damage coming through from FlyQuest.
Yeah, so, you dive in, right? Hecarim comes flying in, Trynd comes flying in, and, which of the two carries you go for, right? That Tahm Kench supporting them is going to make it a pretty good-looking team fight as Malphite slowly works everyone down as well, or just starts it out in the beginning. Going to be important to see what happens. Blue spotted out, walks away, early sweeper pop to look through, and going to be safe under the tower. That's going to be a mana flow ban. Thanks very much.
That's interesting. If it's Blue's birthday on the 7th, and he's from Europe, and it's the 7th in Europe.
Happy birthday.
But it's the 6th.
Where he is.
But he's here.
Yeah.
So it's not his birthday. Like, that's a weird one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as someone with family on the East Coast, yeah, you'd get like the, so it's funny. So my birthday, I was born at 10 o'clock in California, which means to my grandparents in Michigan, I was born on St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
And so I would always get like happy birthday St. Patrick's Day cards because to them, their grandson was born on the 17th of March.
Ooh.
And like, it's more just like as a joke. They're not doing anything troll with that one. But yeah, like Blue's family is currently celebrating his birthday over in Belgium.
But he can't because it's
not
his birthday yet.
Nope. But an early birthday present is the 2-0 weekend. So you know who's going to complain.
This is something I'm never going to solve. Anyway, the invade onto Hecarim, I believe, is intelligent because Hecarim generally wants to full clear, so any way they can disrupt that is smart. Tahm Kench's level 1 is absurd, so they just used it to bully invade the red buff. The question will be, though, if this just ends up being a map split, which could become actually very dangerous. We talked about the early laning phase from FakeGod not being super strong, so if we pull up the mini-map, right, there is this ward here, so they'll know that he's going. And we see Jarvan trying to cross, but if the Tryndamere can actually shove this lane and go in with Hecarim, there could be a potential for conflict. So I want to track this. If he's able to make this cross map and clear his camps, it's going to be great for Dignitas and really shut down the Hecarim.
Yeah, and Jose's going to be down 2 camps right now as he finishes out his top side clear. That's level 3. Lets the item ticket, and now he's on the way over. Now Smite is going to be up first for the Jarvan. He took the rune. He took the rune for faster summoner spells, so the Smite fight is always going River Play. Instead, Ghost into the mid lane, but Blue's not going to get pushed back too easily. Does get pulled in. Sidesteps the bombs. Those were crucial, but toucouille going to miss. The skill drops now on the bottom side. Exhaust, a flash wave for Johnsun. A bit more now towards aphromoo. Decent damage, 150 left. The stun, but they don't have enough range to follow through.
Afro with the hook onto the minion, not the way you want to start the fight. Jose doesn't even burn a summoner spell with his gank mid. Sure, it gets the teleport, but this is a very promising start for Dignitas.
Looking pretty good, and right now it's actually Jarvan who's up camps on Hecarim. Yeah. It's Hecarim who ganked earlier, and yeah, it turns out, Jarvan's a better ganker, and obviously with camps being down, there is a Raptor left, so Jose's gonna grab that and be like, guess I'm waiting about a minute for my drop to come back up.
Yeah, all things, he's still gonna be able to get level 4 at about
430?
Actually, it's going to be a while.
He needs
it's going to be a while.
Grump and Wolves, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets top Scuttle here.
He's only 3.5, and
Yeah.
the first Scuttle Crab is deflated experience, so he's not even going to get 4 off of this. He's really far behind.
Yep. He's down a full red buff and basically a full Raptor. So to make that up, you need basically the Gromp plus Wolves to make the XP whole, and that's probably when he's going to hit it. There is a chance Gromp is 4, regardless. It's still going to be 4 minutes and change. So got to look towards top side. Should have expectations that this is where he's headed, but FakeGod must push the wave in. Here comes the push. Do they have enough? Now FakeGod puts on a slow,
early
but
flash.
he's still going to get pulled right back in. He flashes for nothing. He gets Kumo to flash to chase. Not sure if that was needed, but first blood on the board on the Tryndamere.
It's really interesting the way the early jungle has played out. It's 32 CS to 20, which is what I might have expected in the Jarvan Hecarim matchup, but it's flipped. The Hecarim has pulled off 3 ganks. And the fact that the first one worked was actually very necessary. I think FakeGod could have held his flash until after the pushback and likely survived that gank. He will teleport back and still catch minions, but thank goodness for Jose that gank worked. Otherwise, he would have been very far behind.
Well, Thimblewinder in some armor. Going to be the look here for FakeGod. Try to hold on. Can always go for the Q poke, but Trynd has some decent sustain all the same. Pickaxe, Enemy Crystal in. It is going to be Hull Breaker for the Trynd. No surprises there. Spend time in the side lane, get the push going. That does mean he's going to have a harder time actually killing Malphite. Like, there's an argument to make around actually just going Kraken Slayer and really going for the 1v1 and trying to push through the defensive. That's not necessarily the winning play, but it is at least an option.
Yeah.
Going for the very standard option, though, of, well, I'll survive. We can kind of push the waves in, and then we'll look more for the team fights.
Yeah, I think the durability of Hullbreaker is actually super important for Kumo in this matchup, because with his level of durability and the low damage of Malphite Jarvan, if he can just shrug off a 2v1 whenever he wants, and Dignitas actually has to move blue to make something happen, that's a way the split push can really start to overpower the game.
Go. Trying again. Blue just pushed towards the side, but bombs are on cooldown. No way to double up, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't know if it's a miscoordination or they just simply said, look, I'm just going to walk by, let's deal some damage, whatever. But the bomb reset was on cooldown when the gank came in, and I assume they were chatting with each other, so give him benefit of the doubt, say, yeah, it's just damage, peace out, whatever. It's not like he burned Ghost for it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, not much of a gank.
Zilean's also not easy.
Also true.
We have a Zilean player in the LCS who oftentimes makes it look easy, but a lot of those bombs are going wayward, and Blue has done a very nice job of sidestepping it. He's actually up in CS despite 2 ganks coming through and being pushed back to base early, so Blue's chilling in that lane.
He's chilling. Zilean, of course, does scale quite well as long as you have the people worth supporting. So far, that's going to be likely with Josedeodo getting at least a gank off and Trynd doing well. And Johnsun is down 10 CS, so that's worth pointing out. I do like Aphelios' late game quite a bit. He's got most of a wave to farm, so really not looking too bad down there. But yes, credit to Blue. Still going to wait to see what River can actually have accomplished in this one. Be careful, because Josedeodo could go for a play down here. Not level 6 in the Tahm Kench means no Devour, and that trigger ward will die.
Yeah, and we can see River also just shadowing to allow them to push this wave all the way into the turret. Probably not going for the extra turret plate, because with 1 minute left to Rift Herald, I would expect actually Dignitas to be looking to make an early move up there. Look at the item advantage they have actually right now with the Noon Quiver compared to just 2 long swords. So that should consistently allow them to push the wave faster, and it's going to make it fairly difficult for FlyQuest to get any type of move from the bot lane.
Always advantage, by the way, as a support. If you have nothing to do, please, everyone at home, if you are playing support and you have nothing to do, stay in the brush.
Yeah.
Don't let them know if you recalled. Don't let them know if you bypassed wards and walked mid. Don't let them know if you're roaming. Please don't just sit in vision doing nothing if you have nothing to do. Please stay in fog of war. Good play by Biofrost.
Absolutely, and they just don't know where he is. So
until he walks up.
Even after another recall, Johnsun still doesn't have the Noon Quiver, so there's going to be consistent shove for Neo and Biofrost in that bottom lane.
Interesting that he chose Pickaxe. Because Noon Quiver's really, really, really gold efficient. Whatever. It's not a big deal. I actually think finishing Noon Quiver, even though you're leaving 300 gold like unspent, it's like you're still more stats.
Yeah. 30 attack damage, 15 attack speed versus 25 AD.
Yeah, and the on-hit damage for minions, which guarantees, I mean, with a pickaxe, you also guaranteed last hit under turret without any help, but it does give you a lot of push pressure. Regardless, not a very important deal. What's more important is where the junglers are going, and right now it's River into the top side playing for Herald. However, Josedeodo's here with a red buff, with the ability to smite. Red smite up for both these junglers, and it's River pushing away. First smite burn just to start it earlier. Second smite coming up soon.
Very interesting, actually, the way that this progressed. So they didn't have, like, Dignitas doesn't have any pressure through top lane, so it's the Tryndamere more than anything that is allowing them to pressure Dig off of this. And this is a big for a potential snowball opportunity for FlyQuest. They get this Herald. They've already taken a plate and a half from top lane. If they can get another gank off onto FakeGod at some point and get that top turret rolling, it could be really big.
So we're just walking down, but they are right behind, and now they know. Now they turn around 180, and it's like, oh, actually,
Krugs!
There wasn't full vision. Smite gets to steal a Krug away. Okay, great. Looks like the burn down took to the middle ones, and now, yeah, the fight for the rest is going to go. However, it is minions being dropped. Yes, thanks for the leash, but the rest of it will be killed off. Aphro, I believe, had to solo last hit the cannon, so that is still 72 gold missing from Johnsun. So it's actually still gold negative off of that play. Still, the can't steal is pretty nice. 200 gold difference, not too bad. And now, look at this. toucouille gonna get his ulti down in time. Puts the ulti down. Will they have enough good damage? Can they get the last? Yes, they can! The lance gonna hit him! And he just never flashed. Didn't know if he didn't think he could dodge it or if he thought he'd get followed anyway. Saves the summoner, but gets the kill over to Dignitas.
Whoa! I thought for sure that was not a fatal gank. But the fact that it was opens up huge things for Dignitas on the map here. Not only do they get the kill, but River can just stay in the jungle here and zone FlyQuest off minions. This can really start slingshotting Neo ahead from FlyQuest, and this is the way that Dignitas wins, right? They leave FakeGod up in top lane, they have River create some chaos on the bottom side of the map, and they get Neo and Biofrost ahead.
Wow, and they kind of call the bluff, because I think if Aphro and Johnsun walk up there, like, TPs are down for every teammate. That could have been a repeat gank for the Jarvan.
Yeah, let's watch this one more time. So River does get a nice EQ right away, but I thought after the ultimate comes down, we would see the flash. But I guess he would have died if he flashed before ulting himself, but even now, right, I was still expecting him to flash away. Maybe he thought he was dead either way with the flash follow from Jarvan, but I'd expect you at least make him commit that with Hecarim on the way to maybe push him into the turret.
I know one big habit some pros have is they aren't willing to burn a summon her if it's a death for nothing.
Exactly.
It's like, you killed me, that's 450 gold, but it's not dragon, it's not tower, it's not much more else going on. Whatever. Now I have flash up next time when we fight for dragon. And I think that is a very defensible choice to say, well, you could have lived, but they're like, I'd rather save the resource, let Jarvan spend.
Just pointing out the hull breaker as well up top. Kumo's really going to want to try and make some progress with that, but it is getting increasingly difficult as Malphite builds up more wave clear, actually, and more armor, because if the turret's never sitting with minions in front of it, then it's hard for Kumo to hit it. And Dragon number 2, Dignitas right on track.
Well done to Dignitas. Now, Malphite is losing his early lane, but that is expected based on facing Tryndamere and the early ganks. However, he outscales the matchup. And you mentioned, of course, the champ select stuff as well, where it's a very AD-heavy team. So as long as he can hold up, that's going to be all right. And obviously, the two dragons feeling pretty good. So Dignitas, yeah, in a little bit of control over the map. The top side's going to look good for them. However, Jarvan can fall off a cliff, and I think Zilean outscales a Viktor. So there are some things going back FlyQuest way as well. I think it is a close game right now between these squads. Biofrost Wing over to join the team as mid's going to crash in. And once again, looking for some plays on a toucouille. Pretty good damage down to 400. Once again, they can go for a flash, dunk into the ulti. And now, can they get the burst yet again? Flashes down, but not enough damage. Feared right into the tower, but Biofrost there for the save. What about the back half? Shield is on, will be stunned by Nautilus. 2 for nothing, seems likely. Get the root. Nice knockout. River turns one around, but they do trade it back. Well done to Josedeodo. Poor Biofrost getting low, needs a tongue lash, gets another shield. Staying alive as long as he can, but finally does get burned down. 2-1. Advantage FlyQuest.
Blue gets baited right there, and really nice patience by Josedeodo on his ultimate to push Blue into the turret. Really makes a winning situation. 2v2ing Hecarim Zilean when the Zilean ult is up is a very tough task. Fly gets one back.
Jatt, you mentioned the durability on Kumo. FakeGod used an ult to try to burn a summoner or something from Kumo. He walked away using nothing. So it looked like that was a 1v1 off screen that, yeah, honestly, Kumo was like, that's final press Q, see ya. And that build has worked out for that reason.
Absolutely. Gale Force completed by Neo as well. I do think the game plan is going to be largely unchanged for Dig at this point. You can see Biofrost still trying to get vision. The Zilean Viktor wave clear is basically matched at this point, so they're not going to be getting a significant move on either side. But let's watch this one more time. The Herald actually bumps Blue a little bit, so he's a little late to this play. Maybe if they get toucouille a little further away from the turret, they can capitalize on this, but they actually just need to back away. When Hecarim is just eye contact, holding ult, it's way too dangerous to be making this move. They land a couple nice bombs for damage, getting the kill back onto aphromoo was a decent salvage by River, but not going to have much after that. And FakeGod popping the ultimate on Kumo.
Not nearly. It's like 5 health left. I think you can try to like stun him under the turret, but it was obviously too late for that one. Whatever.
Just push him off.
He's not going to burn the cooldown anyway. Like, whatever. It's not unleashed TP, so they're just kind of hard chilling for a while. And at the end of the day, well, Kumo did get his somewhat expected first blood. He's gotten 2 turret plates and about 8 CS. And I think that's reasonable, honestly. FakeGod is just going to happily keep scaling on the matchup and be the better team fighter.
Yeah, 800 gold advantage for the Tryndamere. Also want to point out nothing is happening at the moment. The Malphite skill order. So he maxed E first, and he's maxing W second. So you have a lot of different options on Malphite. Like there's the Comet build where you can just max Q and try and poke people out. But he's very much not trying to be the aggressor onto Tryndamere. He's just maxing whatever can help him in close combat. So if Tryndamere ever tries to get aggressive on him, he's maxing his ability to reduce attack speed, which at rank 5 is 50% attack speed reduction for 3 seconds. And then he's also maxing his potential armor with his Thunderclap passive.
Neo's gonna get pushed in, but right timing. Biofrost there for the shield, for the jump, and it's gonna be fine. Neo's gonna be all right. Ghost down for an ultimate. Well done, Bio, being in the right place at the right time. No kills. We've still got to stand up here on the top side. River would love to find someone to kill. Not going to happen just yet. Ulti's still up for Jose. It means he can always get away from something. Malphite Trin's still down on the bottom side. And longer Malphite stays away from the team, probably the happier FlyQuest is. But once he joins, those ults should be pretty big.
Okay, this would be a big herald for FlyQuest to take because they could drop him in and get first turret of the game. So we have a fight.
Here we go, battle begins. After we're gonna walk back for this one. Dunked right back in. River running out of health, though. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 so far. Zilean has burned the ulti. Biofrost a little bit has a shield available. Bomb's not gonna hit, and it's gonna be a knock-up. He lands it. Biofrost gets a chase down. Toucouille is gonna fall, and no one is able to grab Rift Herald. So FlyQuest got 100 gold for that, but +1 of the team fight for Dignitas.
What an aggressive move by River. Certain death to fly in there with the Cataclysm against a Zilean. He snuck it. They didn't guard the Herald, and Hecarim sneaks in to get it. That's actually huge because they can now break mid-turret the next time they drop it. Oh, man. They just needed to stand up there and guard it.
Last we checked in, CS Everton top was 4. It's
Wait,
now...
he didn't get it.
Oh, it timed out. He, like, ran by and it timed out in front of him. Dignitas are masterminds. They turned to the second.
Probably not, but sure.
No.
Yeah.
Full credit for everything that ever happens. Opponent makes a mistake, mind control.
Okay, Dragon 3, but a lot of ultimates are down. So FlyQuest wants to contest this, but they don't even have Zilean ultimate up yet.
Viktor and Malphite coming down, but they have Malphite ult. FakeGod is going to be a difference maker here. I think Kumo's not yet on his own Gale Force.
I think FlyQuest flipped this.
Okay, they're coming in. Malphite ult hits on it too. They're going to delete aphromoo. Kumo coming from behind because they kite it out. Stopwatch burn. Be careful for River. As Josedeodo is going to be next up. He's got the revive available. It's going to time out. They've traded back on a Jarvan. Biofrost tries to stay alive. Kumo puts the ulti on. Doesn't even have to burn it. It's actually FlyQuest who win the fight. These teams going back and forth.
Wow, huge fight win for FlyQuest right there. They got so much AoE off in that corridor. Even though the Zilean is a solo AP for FlyQuest, they got huge value out of the bombs right there and were able to take down enough members of Dignitas. This is a very close game now.
Yeah, it is, and really well played by FlyQuest to come back from that one, because, yeah, fighting in a Malphite can be tough. He lands 2 on the ulti.
Yeah, so interestingly enough, we do see Mercury treads onto River. So let's see where the damage comes through here. Actually, I think it's just the fact that we have Blue Gun in a choke point for Johnsun gets a good portion of damage down, because that bomb on the left actually doesn't end up getting anyone. It was just a nice corridor for Johnsun to hit from.
Well, here we go. We'll try it again. And another thing to point out is, again, a champion like Malphite, like, he really does want to scale to some degree. Like, you actually want to get to the point, like, armor stacking is good when you can buy armor. He's on the same build as, like, any generic fighter would have or whatever, right? Like, it's nothing too special, but it's the fact that W is percentage more armor is why that's good. The fact that his W is then tripled with his passive shield on. Again, scale with armor he is allowed to buy. So this will keep scaling up. It will get harder and harder. And even though Johnson's going Lord Dominix, which you're against Malphite, totally makes sense. It's still going to be a really hard road forward.
Yeah, it's like almost too much armor to feel like you can ever shred.
Right.
When you're talking about a Malphite who gets items, but the Hullbreaker breaks the turret. If it's going to be hard for FakeGod to actually get angles, right? Like, sure, he can neutralize Kumo, but if Kumo's able to hull break these side lanes, I think he's at a strong enough point where he can probably start surviving the 2v1 against FakeGod and River. It's going to be really interesting to see how Dignitas can find windows.
I'm gonna try. And maybe, yeah, as you mentioned, as long as Kumo is like really aggressively playing for the waves, someone has to answer that at some point. Blue likely gets tower dove with a stopwatch. It's probably okay, but you don't want to burn a stopwatch for a Tryndamere and then, you know, die the next time. So it does kind of have to be FakeGod. But yeah, when is he allowed to walk out of that and make the next play? But that's going to be the skill for him, right? And that's like the real skill of tank players against fighters. Fighters, like kind of by design, are good at fighting tanks, right? They're building for single target damage. They're melee. Like, if they don't do that, what else do they even do as a champion? And so the skill as a tank player is, okay, I can clear under the tower. When am I allowed to break from this and give a small window to make something bigger happen? And that's like a macro judgment call.
I will say that even though River puts so much attention into bottom lane early, the last team fight and the fact that Johnsun got that solo turret pulls him actually dead even to Neo in gold. So Aphelios versus Jinx it's a very true handshake. It's really about who's able to enable them more in team fights, because both their damage is going to be very high later in the game.
And Johnsun gets to take away some camps. I believe Jose got to do a bit of that as well with the Wolves. So that feels pretty good. On the other side of the map, you can see the left side jungle has 2 pips right there. FlyQuest actually kept that jungle alive. Dignitas unable to steal it away. So a little bit of extra gold still going the direction of FlyQuest. Big environment right now, up about 1,000 gold. And down to Dragon makes me favor them very slightly on the scoreboard. Close one, though, to be fair overall.
Yeah, and they've had pretty good lane assignments so far. I actually really liked it. Even though Tryndamere is now running out bottom lane towards the Malphite, they had it a little while ago with Tryndamere up here, and Jinx had to respect it, and the Malphite would just actually have to hold back here in case anyone came over for him, but it's flipped back around right now. Not completely sure why. If I was Kumo, I would actually be trying to avoid the Malphite if there's a side lane to push, but he's gone back to bot lane.
Only one who's actually counterbuilt them really at all. Merc treads and, you know, building towards one of the, I'm not sure which one's going to be out of Kindle Gem here for Jarvan second, but no one has bought any armor but the Zhonya's on this team outside of, you know, mandatory stuff like Locket. So yeah, would be favored against anyone but that Malphite. Right now, though, FakeGod is holding around mid. You know, top wave is okay. Bot wave hasn't been pushed in yet. Look for the play. Is someone in mid? No. Okay, I walk back over. I catch the wave before it hits the turret. Did lose 3 melees, but now a play towards me. That's a root. And that is Biofrost forced ulti away. Nice play by Johnsun, though. Gale forces in to make that one happen and trades that 90-second cooldown for the similar one of Biofrost.
Yep, 100-second cooldown on the Devour of Biofrost, and when you see the 40-second timer on that Dragon, that mid push is going to be very important. I think they have a really good chance of setting up for this, because you look where the bot lane is, they have this pushed, they can take control of this area, and it's going to be very difficult for Dignitas to kind of enter into that triangle in the river, and FlyQuest may be able to get this Dragon just out of setup. We'll see.
Here we go. 17 seconds to go, and there is 1 ward for Dignitas. Everything else mostly played in fog, now 2 spot. Ooh, so we didn't go over to the ward. That is actually pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
Baron Rush is, I guess, doable. I think if Jinx is on 2 items, it's decent DPS. I don't think it's a very likely trade, but they are playing for the cross map. They say, look, Dragon number 2 does not matter. But unfortunately, Kumo aggressively goes for the wave clear. The stun not going to mean too much. Again, he has Hull Breaker, and he does go Kraken, actually. He does go for a build that allows him to fight the Malphite. It won't be as much mobility in the team fight itself for Assassinated Jinx, but if he's playing, no, we have to keep the Malphite away from the 5-on-5, play purely for the 1-on-1, that's the build that gets that done.
FlyQuest definitely wrestling control back in this game, winning the fight over the 3rd Dragon, just winning the positioning war over the 4th, and you can kind of honestly say they're starting to pull into an advantage. It'll be about really what FakeGod looks like when he's able to kind of complete his Thimblewinter, get more armor stacking, really see if he can make an impact in team fights. Because right now, just like the side lane presence of just having push has been enough to get FlyQuest back in this game.
Good job. Lead grows. 2 Dragons in a row now. Gold up to 1,300. That wasn't just the team fight. They've actually been getting more farm overall.
Yeah.
Blue's up 40. That's well done, but still, it's Kumo getting a lot done on the side lanes, and I believe they've been poaching jungle camps as well. A 40 CS lead in the jungle. Josedeodo, obviously you don't want to play Jarvan as a hard farmer, but Jarvan is down 2 levels. Jarvan is down 10 camps. That is really meaningful. And unfortunately for him, I mean, he's got 5 kills done, right? Like, he's doing a good job, but Jose's got 6.
Yeah, and Jose's a tank in his own right.
Yeah.
With the Frozen Heart and the Turbo Chem tank right now.
He's up an item.
Dignitas got to make something happen.
Well, looking right now at the sidestep from Biofrost with the front line to go. Big damage on aphromoo. He will not be ulted. He will die instead. Of course, Zilean just not able to put that ulti onto him, so not going to matter here. 1-0. Mid push going to continue. No double bomb, and River doesn't find the engage just yet, but that turret, they should be able to free hit this one. Stay on there, put the damage in, and yes, they do. 450 for the kill, 500 for the tower. Dignitas right back into this one. Bot lane answered enough.
Yep. Neutralized.
Yeah, neutralized.
Just a missed engage there by aphromoo. And then I don't think toucouille was in range to get his ultimate off onto him. It'll really open up the map for Dignitas' mid lane push later. Again, there's just very, very small things happening in this game. Nothing to break it open as of yet.
Agreed. Want to see that big climactic fight, the one around Baron maybe? Because until you have Soul Point, and that's going to be in 3 minutes, then 5 minutes later to actually fight for the dragon, like, you don't have a lot of pressure valves right now that are going to, or I should say, you don't have a lot of pressure points right now where someone's got to kind of release that. So
I think we're in for a long one.
Yeah, they're allowed to play pretty slow.
Yeah, grab a snack. You got 2 minutes, 30 seconds till the next dragon. I think you're going to need something. And unless something weird happens, this is going 40.
Yeah, and this is actually to kind of point out a thing about Dignitas. Like, if they outscale, this is the kind of thing where the first 2 dragons really, really help. Because imagine if FlyQuest was able to play for the dragons. They would have been forced to fight for the last one, or they'd be forced to fight for the next one. If they want to wait and chill, they're allowed because they were able to say, well, Malphite, sorry, sucks for you. We're going to play around bot, get Dragon 1, get Dragon 2. We're allowed to play until 35 before we're forced to do anything.
Interesting as well that Neo is opting for LDR instead of Infinity Edge third. He's probably just feeling like he's...
Hecarim's getting a lot of armor, and, and you know, there's some on the Nautilus as well. I think it's a pretty close choice, especially because you're allowed to earn all the money to go to the final item. Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about itemization because I feel like I do it so often. But he's saying, hey, I care most about getting through Hecarim, and that's the logic.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with these team fights being largely front to back, and Dignitas, you know, unless they're going forward with River, are mainly, like, they've been playing counter-engage in a lot of these situations.
Yeah. So, bottom, Scuttle goes down, River able to claim it, and honestly, by mid-game, and this is something that I think a lot of junglers, as they sort of progress and get better, need to sort of learn. Scuttle is the most important camp once you're into mid-game. It's worth the most gold, the most XP, and the most map pressure. Like, yeah, obviously buffs matter or whatnot, but you'd rather take a Scuttle than someone's Krugs. You actually get more out of that. So it is, I think, actually very important. It's a little indicative of like who's winning the map overall, if you're able to do that one. FakeGod and Kumo going to be in a battle, and yeah, he can't even break the passive shield. Of course, Fimbulwinter adds on to that, by the way. Landing a slow if your melee gives you the Fimble shield. So, every time Q's up, here's another shield. I guess you're not killing me.
Okay, we have 45 seconds to Dragon. Let's check in on the side waves. Blue is recalling. He has teleport, so he's going to be able to get back. But Tryndamere's perma pushed in here, and we have the River position already taken by FlyQuest, so they do have the advantage moving into this. It's hard for Dignitas to retake without having any control wards in the River.
There's just Scuttle. Like, interestingly enough, that Scuttle is actually doing so much for them so that they can know if they're going all the way down. If they start Dragon, at least that is known. The setup is nothing, right? The setup, they got no info on the setup. What brush they're playing in, is Josedeodo in that brush? Probably, but it's not guaranteed. Did Afro Hex Flash in there? No way of knowing. Ward comes in, Biofrost checks it, feels safe enough.
FakeGod's made it down, though.
Oh, and who are they going to ult, though, is the question, because Kumo's there here as well. Bot lane back to equal, and Dignitas able to muscle their way in on getting FakeGod early and pushing through in the river. Now it's Dignitas who own the wards. Dragon is alive, and they start it.
We think Dignitas should be favored in front-to-back fights, so Kumo's trying to flank behind them. It's about who can mark Kumo. I think if FakeGod just marks Kumo off the side, they should be generally okay.
Looks like it's going to be a smite fight, though.
Yeah, they're flipping it.
And it's going to be grabbed nicely down to Josedeodo. And they go in for the dive. A dunk on a 2 is going to be enough damage, though. Fearing right back in, trying to burn him down. Malphite ulti hits 2. And here comes Kumo. 1 for 1 so far, but he cannot hit much of the front line. Slowed down, they kite him. He goes for bio, finds one, pops the ult, and then just lock him down. But a stopwatch buys a lot of time. Kumo has to jump over to stay alive. Oh, the Gale Force doesn't kill. It's not enough damage, but Malphite is literally unkillable and walks through the back line, plays the bruiser. FlyQuest lucky to win that smite because the team fight goes 3-3.
Unironically, the most pivotal moment of that fight was the smite. Who has the chance of getting Hextech Soul? Because of how close these fights are being, that could be the difference at the end of the day. But watch this one more time. FakeGod decides to be the initiator, which does give Kumo a window to come in the back of the fight. But let's watch this, Baron. Looks like just a burst from 1400. So, like, basically an impossible smite coming through from Josedeodo. Based on the replay, it does look like River's smite wasn't up, but sometimes that's unreliable. Watching this one more time, good exhaust comes down for Kumo, and thank goodness for the stopwatches. Otherwise, Kumo actually cleans this much faster. He probably would have just killed Neo right there, but then Gale Force...
It even canceled the double bomb, because one was on Jinx and one went on Malphite. So you would have stunned the entire team if there wasn't a stopwatch in the middle. Like, there's so much that happened there because of that stopwatch, so well played there. Lord Dominic's now done. Lichbane is in for blue. That's a great item. That is a huge DPS add. You can see already 5,400 out of the team fight so far. Obviously, yes, a lot done from the Tryndamere as well. Has, of course, done more damage in the fight as expected. Quick blades are in, but Dignitas are back on the map, ready to play for mid lane. Knows he's going to land decent damage. Blue is chunked a bit, but can you really go for River? Actually, a good shot out of Johnsun.
They can root him?
Ooh, Chomper's in a good spot, though. That's going to lock down Aphro.
They're really thinking about it. The awkward thing for Dignitas right now is that they really want Malphite to be able to stand in front, but he's just always stuck defending behind that turret. So it does make that 4v4 possibly advantaged for FlyQuest, because they just have like the threat of Hecarim, the threat of Nautilus. If there ever is a turn, the Zilean ult's going to save it. So I kind of want to see Blue find more opportunities to move and push Kumo off of the lane so that FakeGod can have some turns in mid lane, because what's currently happening is we're just seeing Blue all the time just catching waves up here. I know it's unconventional, but I wouldn't mind seeing Jinx make moves up here, have Viktor push out mid, because then at least they can have an AP threat with high damage to be able to maybe knock Tryndamere off the side lane, because with the way it's currently going, I think FlyQuest is going to have pretty good setup again for the Hextech Soul and have a chance at winning this game.
River plays it pretty safely. Is rooted in place, though. Follow through not probably going to be there. Jose going to jump in. Gets a decent chunk out, honestly. But here comes the next play. They're going to find the double bomb. Just put it on the ward. You land it for the stun. FakeGod TPs into, I guess, defending the team in case it was going to be a dive. Ultimately, though, 2 minutes until Dragon. And if FlyQuest get it, that is Hextech Soul. It is the winningest Dragon Soul on the Rift. We'll see if it's going to matter here, though. A lot of data, of course, is, well, you're ahead. This one's going to be pretty close. Aphro walks in, finds a stun onto Invincible, but a stun to River, not bad. Aphelios ult hits only FakeGod. By the way, FakeGod did not take any damage here. The Mortal Shield comes back on, and guess what? That's Aphelios ulti down.
I really thought Dignitas was going to try and take a fight there, because for once they had FakeGod in front. But now that it's 5v5, they're trying to do everything they can. They're just going to start up Baron, hope for FlyQuest to come in. Surely they're looking for a turn. River on the flank. Watch the Jarvan.
Dookie won the smite last time. Will he get it here? This is a risk. Dignitas playing in the Baron. Hasn't been as much of a meme in the last couple of years, but they got to be careful. Zilean poke isn't huge. Kumo going to wait to play the blast plant angle. River still marking as FakeGod is one taking the Baron, but they find River. River could die fast. They ult only a Nautilus, but they find a knockup on a toucouille. Then on the back lane, it trades one back, though. 1 for 1 so far. Do they have enough damage? It's still Johnsun cutting around. He actually kills FakeGod, and he's going for blue. Lichbane land. Oh, flash Q auto. He nearly had the damage, and it's time for them to run. Neo is smited. Neo will fall. He can't dodge anything. A double kill for Kumo. The Bud Light ace for FlyQuest.
That could be it. They have a big wave in mid lane. They won the clutch fights time and time again. Looks like FlyQuest is going to 7-4.
And there we go into third place alone. 7-4, the third best record on the LCS. They will knock down the turrets. They will have Jose heal off the turrets. Thank you, toucouille. And it's going to be Nexus falling FlyQuest. 7-4.
Huge bounce back week for FlyQuest Phreak. 5-1 before Super Week. 3-game losing streak. Matched up with a 2-0.
Yep.
Right back there again, solidly in third place. And honestly, Kumo's Tryndamere in this game was very impressive to me. The way they were able to move around FakeGod's Malphite and the possible initiation of Dignitas was very strong. Johnsun, good positioning in basically every fight, not really giving FakeGod good windows to get the ultimate down. And FlyQuest come out with another win.
Well done to them. And this is one of their chief opponents, right? Like, these are the fights they're going for, because the read everyone has is, okay, Cloud and TL. That's our S tier. Great. Congratulations, top 2. You know, let's move on from there. 100 Thieves and EG are the belief. for 3-4, and then there's 2 spots left among the other teams. Chief among those teams fighting is FlyQuest and Dig. That battle really, really important. FlyQuest actually now 2-0 against Dig on the season, so head-to-head tiebreak goes to them automatically. This means a lot in securing that postseason spot.
I mean, when I was thinking before the season of like the historically top 5 orgs, one of them was TSM. They're out of there.
Yeah, sure.
Right? But then you still have like 100 Thieves, EG. FlyQuest is ahead of both those teams, like substantially ahead of EG, who's at 5 and 6, and 1 game ahead of 100 Thieves, who's at 6 and 5. So with only 7 games left in the split, they are in great position based on preseason expectations.
Hey, Raz called 12 and 6. They have to go 5 and 2 from here.
It's closer.
It's on the line so far for Raz. In return, we'll be hearing from Kumo in our Verizon post-game interview. But now we're tuning in as High talks Pro to Pro with Blue. Check it out.
Hey everyone, this is High. I'm here with Dignitas Blue today, and I'm here to ask him some questions. First off though, I don't think we've ever met. My name is High, I'll give you a fist bump.
Nice to meet
Gotta
you.
be COVID safe, right?
Yeah.
Here you have a play where you hit 6 before him here. I was wondering, what makes you not want to go in here? Because I understand that the lineup is pretty hard, but when I'm watching you play the same phase, I felt like you were kind of scared of either him or the jungler. Because there's a few windows where you have opportunities to go on them, even if your character's weaker in that lane phase, right?
Like I said, like right now our jungle is going bot side. I don't want to do any, it's no need to. I can look to, and it can end up pretty well, like I said, but right now like we're focusing to play on bot side. So I remember here, we were trying to go on bot side with Zilean, and we know that Hecarim should be bot side. So I was just trying to push his up and not trade and go bot side in case a fight happens, and just ward for the bot side. I mean, as a team, we personally don't really like playing on mid lane because we are trying to focus more on bot or top. Especially this game, we're trying to focus more on bot. And also, like you said, yes, after 6 it's kind of easy. If I hit 1 bubble, she has to pretty much use her ulti, or she can just go on me if I hit my bubble, or she can. It's like a kill pressure lane kind of after 6. But when I play Zoe, we usually try to focus this game, especially since they have a Hecarim, which is a farmer jungler, and we're playing Zilean. We are trying to focus more on denying him his camps and play more aggressive to deny him rather than playing for mid lane.
Gotcha.
So we were like mostly trying to have vision and try to go and fight Hecarim. But some unfortunate things happen inside of the game, so we had to try to go bot in top. So this kind of like we couldn't play according to our plan.
Throughout your games that you've played here so far, would you say that's generally the playstyle that your team does, where you guys don't like to focus mid? Because I don't personally like stats, honestly. I think they're kind of like, you can skew them to fit your story or whatever. However, I'm going to use it here to skew it towards my favor. Looking at a stat specifically, forward percentage, the average for mid lane right now is 21.7%, and you're at last at 15.1%. And that makes me just think, after watching your games and watching the lane, you generally play pretty passively. Is that due to the fact that you and your jungler don't like picking these 2v2 mids?
Usually, I mean, I will say that I think everyone knows. We usually try to focus more on 2v2 bot lane rather than mid lane, and mid lane is like usually, we try to like, I mostly played Viktor or Corki, I would say. I could play aggressive Viktor if we play more 2v2, but we're not a team that wants to play through mid lane where I have to, a lot of the time, respect the jungler or respect that enemy support can move first. So we are a team that likes to play aggressive really bot lane, and we need to play for bot lane. So we are kind of forced to play for bot lane.
Gotcha.
And most of the time we're winning on 3v2 bot, so it's like, okay, we'll just do it. And then if I can also try to play aggressive more on mid lane and stuff like that, but like I said, mostly we're trying to play for enemy jungler or for bot sides rather than trying to shut down enemy mid lane. So this kind of